Okay, I'm going to get started by welcoming everyone. Welcome to Wat Tung. Nice to see everyone here. Welcome to everyone who's joining us online as well. Today is our Sunday night meditation where we get together with students and guide you in a meditation session. And afterwards, I'll share a little bit of the teachings of the Buddha with you, but mainly I'm just going to open up to any and all questions that you guys have. Whether you're here at the temple or you're joining us online, you can ask questions about the teachings of the Buddha, about what you're seeing here in Thailand, about any personal challenges that you might be having. We can talk about anything and everything that you'd like to discuss. If you'd like to join for meditation, what I'm going to be doing is loving kindness meditation. This is a meditation that helps you to eliminate anger, hatred, ill will, and all the lesser versions like frustration, agitation, annoyance. By the time you get to enlightenment, which is what the Buddha figured out how to do through training the mind, you won't have even the slightest dislike for other people. What this meditation is doing is it's essentially rewiring your mind to eliminate that hostility and bitterness. Oftentimes people think that that's coming from other people, but it's actually coming from your own mind. This is the reason why you can eliminate it. What enlightenment is, where the mind's completely peaceful, calm, serene, and content with joy. By the time you get to enlightenment, you won't experience any anger, sadness, frustration, irritation, annoyance, guilt, shame, fear, stress, anxiety, loneliness, boredom, shyness, resentment, jealousy. All of this can be eliminated through training the mind. Loving kindness meditation is a unique style of meditation where you're essentially cultivating this love and this kindness in the mind, where you have a genuine interest in seeing all beings be well. Because in the unenlightened mind, you have what's called craving, desire, attachment. Your mind is longing, yearning. You're wanting things to be a certain way. And if you get what you want, you get pleasant feelings like happiness or excitement or elation. But if the mind doesn't get what it wants and what it expects, then it experiences painful feelings like anger, sadness, frustration, and others. And now the individual might be bitter, harsh, or hostile to the people around you, thinking that it's other people who are causing you to be angry and frustrated, when in reality, it's the mind itself. So you can actually rewire your mind to no longer have that bitterness and hostility towards others, because it's just damaging your relationships. Oftentimes people think when they're having difficulties in relationships that it's coming from the other person, and that you need to change the other person in order to improve your relationships. But what the Buddha brings your attention to is what you need to work on is your own mind. By training your own mind, this is actually what's going to help you to improve what you experience on a day-to-day basis, as well as improve your relationships. So this loving kindness meditation is an important part of your practice to be able to help you get to this enlightened mental state where the mind's peaceful and joyful. It's a permanent mental state that you can experience in this life. But you would need much more than just meditation to be able to get to enlightenment. So that's why afterwards, I'll just share a little bit of teachings with you guys to help you out. What we're going to do to start the meditation is I'm going to start with some chanting in order to ease the mind into meditation. If you would like to chant along, you're more than welcome to, because it'll help you get more benefit out of the meditation. I have the chants on a laminated sheet over there on the cabinet. You're welcome to help yourself and get a laminated sheet. You can chant along if you like. For those of you guys that are online, this chanting sheet is on our website at buddhadailywisdom.com. You can click on free books. And then if you scroll down towards the middle of that page, you'll see the daily chanting sheet there. During the lifetime of the Buddha, he used chants as a way to help his students to remember his teachings. Every 2 weeks, his students would come together and they would recite his teachings orally. This is the origins of chanting. So you can see from the origins of chanting that this isn't a rite, ritual, ceremony, worship, or prayer, or anything like this. It was used as a learning tool, as a learning device in order to commit the teachings to memory. Where today we have books, audiobooks, videos, podcasts, things like this. They didn't have those 2,500 years ago. So that's why he used chanting as a way to help his students commit the teachings to memory. I don't think the Buddha even created these chants himself. They were probably created by his students either during his life or after his death. Because if you read the English translations, you're going to see a lot of appreciation, gratitude, and respect for the Buddha. And the Buddha wouldn't have walked around and said, here, chant these chants to me out of respect for me, right? This would be ego or arrogance. And by the time you get to enlightenment, you don't have that in your mind anymore. But if you learn from a teacher how to move from anger, sadness, frustration, and all these other discontent feelings to the peace and joy that is enlightenment. And this teacher didn't want anything from you or expect anything from you. They were just helping you out of the kindness of their heart. You might actually have a lot of appreciation, gratitude, and respect for that person too. So that's why I think these actually came from his students. So I'm going to use this as a way to ease into the meditation. Once we get into the meditation, I'm going to guide you in a breathing mindfulness meditation session. It's just a short meditation session where we're going to be focused on the breath. And anytime the mind moves off the breath, we're going to cut that off and let it go and come back to the breath. Then there's going to be a period of time of quietness, just a short period, where during this period of time of quietness, I'm sure you're going to hear occasional sounds. You might hear a car go by, a dog barking, a bird chirping, someone here might cough or sneeze. If you have a craving for permanent silence, when you're in meditation and you hear a sound, you'll cause your mind to be annoyed or frustrated. But if you understand the universal truth of impermanence, that things are constantly changing, then when you hear that sound, you understand that it's normal, that this is the way the world works, that you can't be in permanent silence when you're meditating. These sounds are going to arise, they're going to change, and they're going to fade away. So we'll come out of that period of time of quietness where you'll hear me come in with some affirmations for the loving kindness meditation. You're going to hear me say things like, may I be peaceful. And when you hear this, you would like to repeat that in your own mind on the out breath. Then you're going to hear me say things like, may I be safe. May I be well. May I be free of all discontentedness and the suffering it causes. Again, you repeat that in your own mind on the out breath. These are phrases that you're repeating in your mind. Then you're going to hear me go to these wider and wider rings, like may mom and dad be peaceful, safe, well, and free of discontentedness. It's important to understand that when you're saying these phrases in your mind, you're not trying to change mom and dad through your meditation. In fact, that's impossible. You can't change other people through your meditation. You're also not trying to invoke some special power or some higher power to come and change mom and dad or anything like that. This is actually rewiring your mind so that now in your mind, you can have more love and kindness towards mom and dad so that when you're around them, it'll help you with your intentions, your speech, and your actions to be loving and kind. And I'm going to go through these various rings until eventually we get to all beings. And I'm doing this in a general way that applies to all of us. But if someone was to do this on their own, they would customize this meditation for themselves, inserting people that you do have anger and hatred towards, because oftentimes people hold on to resentment and hostility in their mind, thinking that this is a way to get back at other people, but it's actually just causing harm to your own mind. It's kind of like holding on to a hot coal and trying to burn somebody else. The only person getting burned is yourself. So you can liberate the mind. You can free the mind of this hostility and bitterness through this type of meditation. But then you're going to need to go out into the world and be loving and kind through your intention, speech, and actions. So we're going to do this meditation. Then we're going to go back to the breathing mindfulness meditation. Then we're going to come out of that with some chanting. So the way I think about it is like a loving kindness sandwich, that in the middle, you've got loving kindness. And on the outer edges of that, you've got the lettuce and tomato, which is like the breathing mindfulness meditation. And then the bread that's holding it all together, that's the chanting. So you're going to see me kind of walk you through this. In terms of your body position for meditation, there's 4 positions that the Buddha taught: seated, lying, standing, and walking. And you would learn these different positions at different times as part of your journey to enlightenment. This loving kindness meditation, it's typically done in either the seated, lying, or standing positions. We don't use the walking position for loving kindness. So I'll give you guys a little bit of guidance on the seated position, because this tends to be the primary position that people are first learning in, but you can learn these others through various retreats and various courses that you might take. You can learn these other positions. So you could be sitting on the floor, you could be sitting in a chair. Maybe if someone's at home, you might be on a bench or a sofa or in a wheelchair. You can sit however you like. If you're on the floor, you might have some cushions under your rear. This is going to help soften your seat. And if you're going to bring your legs together in the cross-leg position, you might just decide to do that lightly. Whereas if they're real tight, this can impede the circulation. Some people like to put their legs off the mat. This gets your hips up in the air, and it lessens the angle at the hips, the knees, and the ankles, allowing the circulation to flow. The Buddha put his right hand over his left with his thumbs together, and he put this into his lap. If this is comfortable for you, you could use it, but it's not about everyone doing it exactly the same way. There's other options here because we live in an impermanent world and different people are going to find different things to be comfortable. So you could perhaps put your hands on your thighs or your knees. Some people like to put their hands up or just rest your hands comfortably in your lap. And the same thing is true if you're in a chair. You can also sit however you like. There's not just one way to sit. Some people like to sit with their feet flat on the floor or lightly crossed at the ankles, but you can see me sitting in a chair here with my legs crossed. So that's an option for you too. In terms of your upper body, you would like this to be erect with the sternum up and the shoulders back. This will help keep the mind attentive and alert during the meditation, because meditation is a dedicated, active, purposeful training session where you're eliminating certain unwholesome qualities and you're cultivating certain wholesome qualities. So you like the mind to be attentive and alert during the meditation. Whereas if you were slouched like this, the mind would have a tendency to be dull or lethargic. But if you're real rigid with the upper body, your mind could be overactive or uptight. So you like the upper body to be in the middle with the sternum up and shoulders back, because not only does it keep the mind attentive and alert, but it'll make it easy for you to breathe in through the nose and out through the nose. So I'm going to do the chanting to ease into the meditation. You guys are welcome to join in, and then I'll come back in with the guidance through the meditation. Arahang Sama Sambuddho Mahakewa Bhutang Mahakewanang Apivateyami Savakato Emakewata Tammo Dhammang Namasami Supatipano Emakewato Savaka Sangho Sanghang Namami Namo Rasa Bhagavato Arahato Sama Sambuddhassa Namo Rasa Bhagavato Arahato Sama Sambuddhassa Namo Rasa Bhagavato Arahato Sama Sambuddhassa Iti piso emakewa Arahang Sama Sambuddho Vicacaranang Sammuno Sakato Rokavitu Anutero Purisa Dhamma Sati Satatawa Manusrang Koto Bhagavati. Okay, with the lower body and hands and arms comfortable, and the upper body erect, just close the eyes and start breathing in through the nose and out through the nose. Here, you're just looking to establish the breath, a nice, natural, steady, consistent breath. Not forced or controlled, just a gradual inhale through the nose, experiencing the full breath. And then whenever you're ready, exhale out through the nose, breathing in and out. Breathing in and out. Your breath may not match up with the guidance that I'm providing, and that's okay. This is your practice. I'm just here for guidance. You can use this voice as a reminder that whenever you get to the next inhale, breathing gradually through the nose, developing a nice, natural, steady, consistent breath. And then whenever you're ready, exhale out through the nose, experiencing the full breath. Breathing in and out. Breathing in and out. With the breath well established, start fixating the mind on the breath, either the sound of the breath coming into the nose or the sensation of air moving over the skin into the nose. The breath is the present moment. Fixate the mind on the breath, the present moment. Breathing in and out. Breathing in and out. With the mind fixated on the breath, whenever you notice that it moves off the breath, cut that off, let it go, and come back to the breath, the present moment. No need to observe the thought, label it, judge it, analyze it, or even try to figure out where it's coming from. Whenever you notice that the mind is moved off the breath, cut that off, let it go, and come back to the breath, the present moment. Breathing in and out. Breathing in and out. I'm going to be quiet now and let you do this work of focusing on the breath, cutting off and letting go anytime the mind moves off the breath. Then I'll be back with more guidance on loving kindness meditation. You have nowhere to go. There's nothing to do. No one needs you right now. This is your time to focus on the breath. Breathing in and out. Continuing to breathe in through the nose and out through the nose. Repeat these phrases in the mind on the out breath. May I be peaceful. May I be safe. May I be well. May I be free of all discontentedness and the suffering that it causes. May mom and dad be peaceful. May they be safe. May they be well. May they be free of all discontentedness and the suffering that it causes. May my family, friends, co-workers, and neighbors all be peaceful. May they be safe. May they be well. May they be free of all discontentedness and the suffering that it causes. May all those who have caused me harm be peaceful. May they be safe. May they be well. May they be free of all discontentedness and the suffering that it causes. May all those who I have harmed be peaceful. May they be safe. May they be well. May they be free of all discontentedness and the suffering that it causes. May all beings, wherever they reside, be peaceful. May all beings be safe. May all beings be well. May all beings be free of discontentedness and the suffering that it causes. Now return back to breathing mindfulness meditation, focusing on the breath, cutting off and letting go anytime the mind moves off the breath. Breathing in and out. Arahang Samma Sambuddho Mahakawa Bhutang Mahakavanang Apivateyami วากขาโตมหาเกวตาตัมโมดามังนามาสามิสุปฏิปันโนมหาเกวโตสาวกสังโฆสังฆังนามามินับโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะนับโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะนับโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะอิติปิโสมะเกวะอะระหังสัมมาสัมพุทโธวิจาจารณังสัมมุโนสกาโตโรกาวิตุอนุเตโรปุริสาดามาสติสัตตาตาวามนุสรังโอโตภาควาติ Okay, if you guys would like to slowly make your way out of meditation. Once again, good evening to all of you guys. Nice to see everyone here. Welcome to everyone who's joining online as well. This is called loving kindness meditation. This is a form of meditation that's going to help you to eliminate anger, hatred, ill will, and all the lesser versions like frustration, agitation, annoyance, even the slightest dislike towards other people. Oftentimes when people have dislike towards someone, they think that the dislike is coming from the other person, where in reality, it's actually coming from your own mind, that the mind has certain cravings. It's craving for people to be a certain way. It's wanting and expecting everyone to be a certain way. There's a craving for permanence, but you live in an impermanent world, so not everybody's going to be the same way. But the mind craves for people to be the same way as you in terms of how the mind functions and how the ego is functioning. The mind wants everybody to be a certain way. And when people do things your way, you're happy, you're excited, you like those people. But then when they don't do things your way, then the mind will have dislike towards this person. And it'll think it's coming from the other person, but it's actually coming from the mind itself, where it's craving permanence and wanting people to be a certain way permanently, where that's not possible. You live in an impermanent world and different people are going to do things different ways. That's normal. But with the mind's craving for permanence, it can't see that wisdom that everybody's doing things in a different way. But with the mind's ego, it'll think my way is the right way and everybody else's way is the wrong way. So this meditation is helping you to rewire your mind to be loving and kind and warm and gentle to others, but you wouldn't be able to meditate your way to the elimination of anger and bitterness and hostility. You would actually need to practice being loving and kind through your intentions, your speech, and your actions. That's how the real transformation is occurring. So this meditation is kind of like filling up your gas tank, and then you go out into the world and be loving and kind through your intentions, speech, and actions. Like I was mentioning at the beginning, oftentimes we think the way to improve our relationships is to change the other person. You'll never improve your relationships that way because you can't change other people. There's 8 billion people in the world and you can't get everybody to do things your way. So what the Buddha does is focuses you on your own mind and training your own mind, and that's where you get to peace and you get to joy. His teachings aren't a bunch of beliefs hoping something good happens when you die. It's not a bunch of rules or commandments. It's not rites, rituals, ceremonies, worship, and prayer. You might have been exposed to these kinds of things in the past, even in an environment that's considered to be Buddhist, but those things aren't what the Buddha actually taught. He taught you to do this inner work, this inner growth, this inner development to be able to train your mind. So this loving kindness meditation is an important part of that. But there's other pieces to your practice that you would need to develop in order to be able to train your mind. And that's why students would take courses and classes and retreats, read books, consult with a teacher, so that you can learn the entire path to enlightenment. The core central teaching of the Buddha is called the Eightfold Path. This is what's going to actually lead you to the enlightened mental state. And you would like to learn this inside and out, backwards and forwards, using the original words of the Buddha with reliable translations. That's what we provide as part of this community, that you can actually download our books for free. You can take them and go print them yourself if you like. You can get printed versions here by reimbursing us for the printing cost, or you can order them on Amazon. And you slowly but surely learn with the original teachings of the Buddha, but you don't believe them. You learn, investigate, and examine his teachings. You reflect on them to verify if they're true or they're false. And then you practice his teachings, integrating them into your day-to-day life. And that's where the real transformation is occurring. You'll see that certain situations where you're once angry or sad or frustrated or other discontent feelings, that you'll be in those same situations and your mind will be completely peaceful and completely joyful. And you'll know that this work is actually helping you. These teachings are helping to improve the condition of your mind in your life, because you'll see your relationships gradually improving. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to stop and see if you guys have any questions that you'd like to ask, whether it's about your meditation practice, or maybe you're just getting started in meditation and you have questions, or maybe there's certain things with the Buddhist temples that you're seeing. Maybe there's certain things you're seeing in books, or you've read and seen in the news, or you're seeing other places. You guys are welcome to ask any and all questions that you like. Here at the temple, we have microphones. If you guys could get a microphone from there, from the white bowl, or we have some up here as well. That way the people online will be able to hear you. If you speak here without a microphone, they won't actually be able to hear you. All you need to do is get a microphone, press the gray button. You'll see the lights come on. You just hold it up to your chin and we'll be able to hear you here, and they'll be able to hear you online. And then you can keep these with you, because you might have more than one question, or someone around you might have a question, and you can just share the microphone with them. And if you're not using it, if you could turn it off, that'll be helpful so we don't get feedback through the speakers. And then for those of you guys that are online, you can put your questions into Facebook, YouTube, or Zoom in the comment section. I'll be able to see that. Or in Zoom, you can electronically raise your hand, unmute your microphone, and ask any and all questions you like that way. So is there anyone here, anybody online that has questions you guys would like to ask? I don't see any questions here. You have a question, sir? Yeah, there's a microphone right there. For those of you guys that are in YouTube, you're welcome. Pleased to help you guys. Yeah, you just press and hold that gray button, and you'll see the lights come on, and then you'll be able to talk through it.
Hello, thank you for the meditation. I had a question. I'm a beginner in the meditating world, and I just learned about the law of impermanence, that everything is impermanent. And I had this question about how the Buddha is supposed to get rid of dukkha, something like that. And how is it possible to get rid of dukkha if everything is impermanent? So it would inevitably come back. No?
Sure. Yeah, I'll help you. So those of you guys that aren't familiar with the word dukkha, this is a Pali word that means discontentedness. Some people refer to it as suffering, but I use the word discontentedness because what the Buddha is teaching you about dukkha, or this second universal truth, is that the unenlightened mind experiences three feelings. It experiences pleasant feelings, painful feelings, and neither painful nor pleasant. And these are conditioned feelings. Pleasant feelings are things like happiness, excitement, elation, thrill, exhilaration, or euphoria. Painful feelings are things like anger, sadness, frustration, irritation, annoyance, guilt, shame, fear, stress, anxiety. And then neither painful nor pleasant feelings are things like shyness or uncomfortableness or dissatisfaction. These are the three feelings that the unenlightened mind experiences. And the path to enlightenment is all about eliminating the conditioned feelings, where your mind no longer experiences conditioned feelings, but you experience unconditioned mental states, where your mind's always peaceful and always joyful. It's a permanent mental state. So it's important to understand that the Buddha didn't teach everything is impermanent. Instead, he taught that all conditioned objects are impermanent. What conditioned objects are is the conditioned objects will arise, it will change, and then it will fade away. There's some condition that's producing it, so it arises, and then it'll change over time, and then it will fade away. That's called a conditioned object. Then there's unconditioned objects. Unconditioned objects do not arise, they do not change, and they do not fade away. Okay, so what you experience in the unenlightened state is you experience dukkha or discontentedness, where the mind's shaken up, it's unsteady, it's uncalm, because it's experiencing conditioned feelings. You have what's called craving, desire, attachment in the mind, where the mind's longing, yearning, and wanting things to be a certain way. And if you get what you want, you get pleasant feelings. That's a conditioned pleasant feeling. So if it's sunny outside, you'll get happy and excited. But the problem with that is the sun is not permanent. So therefore, if you base your happiness on the sun, that means when it rains, you'll be sad or frustrated. Or if you get really happy when your bank account balance is up here, when it goes down here, you'll be sad or frustrated. The only thing that's happened is change. That's all that's happened. But with the mind's craving for permanence, it doesn't like that change. That's the unenlightened mind, because it doesn't understand the universal truth of impermanence. So what the Buddha is teaching you to do is train your mind to no longer experience conditioned feelings, where you're basing your inner feelings on some condition. Because a conditioned feeling arises, it changes, and then it fades away. Right? It's temporary. So those pleasant feelings that you currently experience, happiness, excitement, elation, that are conditioned feelings, those are essentially temporary. They're dissatisfying, because as long as you base your feelings on some condition, that condition is not permanent. This is why you haven't been able to get to permanent happiness and permanent joy. Because if you get really happy and excited when you get a brand new job, well, when you lose your job, when the company goes out of business or you get laid off or fired, you'll be sad or frustrated, right? So you're kind of setting yourself up for painful feelings as long as you allow yourself to get conditioned pleasant feelings. So what the Buddha is teaching you to do is get to unconditioned mental states, where the mind doesn't have to have any condition met in order for there to be happiness in the mind. That when you wake up in the morning, you're already happy. There doesn't need to be any condition met. All day long, you're happy. And then when you go to sleep, you're happy. So for example, in the unenlightened state with conditioned feelings, if you see it's sunny outside, you'll get really happy and excited. And now you're like, yay, I'm going to go hiking. I can't wait to call my friends. This is going to be great. And now you go take a shower. And when you come out, it's raining, and you'll be sad and frustrated or irritated because you can't go hiking, because your mind was longing, yearning for that. An enlightened being, they're already happy when they wake up in the morning. Their mind is unconditioned. And now when they see the sun, they're like, sweet, I'm going to go hiking today. And now when they go take a shower and they come out and it's raining, it's like, well, it's raining. I guess I can't go hiking. Maybe I'll stay home and read a book, or maybe I'll go to the mall. Maybe I'll invite my friends over. Their mind is experiencing this unconditioned mental state. They've removed the causes and conditions that are producing the conditioned feelings. So the mind is now unconditioned. That in the unenlightened state, you have a conditioned mind. It's conditioned with certain pollutions. But by the time you train your mind and you purify your mind, you now have an unconditioned mind. There's no conditions in the mind that are producing anger and sadness and frustration. So now you're experiencing unconditioned mental qualities, which are permanent. So that's how you get rid of the discontentedness, is you purify the mind of these individual pollutions that the Buddha discovered. There's 10 individual pollutions that he discovered. And now your mind is unconditioned. So one of the ways to think about it is that you're attaining enlightenment. That's what some people talk about. Another way to think about it is that your mind's already enlightened. You just have these pollutions that are in the way that you've got to get rid of. And when you get rid of those pollutions, now those unconditioned mental qualities will shine through. It's kind of like if you have the sun, it's always there, but the clouds are blocking it. And now when you get the clouds out of the way, the rays of the sun are starting to shine through. The sun was always there, it's just that the clouds are in the way. So the same thing is true about this enlightened mental state, is that the natural state of the mind is enlightened, but it's got these conditions of these pollutions that are in the way. And when you get those out of the way, now the mind can experience those unconditioned mental qualities. The only difference in the analogy here is that the clouds are going to actually come back and they're going to block the sun again. But these pollutions that are in the mind, once you get them out of the mind, they will never come back. It's physically impossible for them to ever come back into the mind. And now the mind's unconditioned. And because there's no condition that is producing the peace and joy, it's permanent. It's always there. Other questions you guys have? No questions? Okay. Well, if there's no questions, I'll just end class here by thanking you guys. Thank you for your interest to understand the teachings of the Buddha and practice a little bit of his teachings. If you guys would like to learn more, there's plenty of opportunities for you guys. Tonight at 9 o'clock, I'm going to be doing breathing mindfulness meditation with students, and then I'm going to teach the very first teaching of the Buddha. It's called the Four Noble Truths, where in 4 simple statements, you'll understand the problem in the mind, the cause of the problem, the elimination of it, and the path forward, and the way to actually learn it through independent verification. I'm going to show you how to independently verify his teachings, so you're not believing any of the teachings. This is the very first teaching. This is the foundation that you would build everything else on. If you're interested in knowing anything about the teachings of the Buddha, you would need to know this teaching. So if you guys would like to come back for that, you're more than welcome to. Or if you'd like to hang out, you're more than welcome to. We have other classes and courses and retreats. You can find them on our calendar over there. Everything's available for you at no cost. As I mentioned, I recommend that you start with this very first book. It's called Developing a Life Practice, The Path That Leads to Enlightenment. This is the best place to get started. And you can get it for free on our website. You can take it and go print it. You can get printed versions here by reimbursing us for the printing cost, or you can get it on Amazon. Because it's no fun walking around with stress and anxiety and sadness and anger. You can actually get rid of all of that. Unfortunately, it's not like a mailing list, but you know how you opt out of that email list and you just kind of say, no, I'm not interested in your emails anymore. You can essentially do the same thing. It's not as quick and easy as opting out of a mailing list, but when you train your mind, you can opt out of these painful feelings. And there's help for you to be able to understand how to do this and accomplish this. So whatever you guys choose to do today, have a very lovely and wonderful rest of your day. We'll see you next time. Sawadee krap. Sawadee krap. Thank you again for watching. Enjoy your meditation. Look forward to seeing you online and answering any questions that you might have. Thank you so much.